We did promise a question and answer session, and although we've had a little bit of a turbulent journey through various availabilities and people traveling, I would like to return it to you for a Q&A, and let's see if there are any residual questions arising as a result of some of the issues that we've spoken about this morning.
Is the question for Rajat ji?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I'm Dhaval. Thank you for this wonderful conference and wonderfully organized. The question I had, Rajat ji and others also, if you wish to answer, is all things considered, given the situation we are facing and the efforts we are making, what is your crystal ball saying about what's going to happen in the next 2 to 5 years? What's your projection, all things considered?
Thank you so much. That question was from Mr. Dhaval ji.
Rajat ji, do you have a prognosis of where this illness is likely to lead us?
No, I honestly not. But I can say one thing. I mean, one is that there is a much larger sense of awareness than before. In fact, when you talk about collective guilt or ancestral guilt, I would like to share a study with you that Hindus already are loaded with a deep sense of guilt. You know, I mean, in fact, I have worked in prisons for many years, and some time back we did a study where we were looking into that how the prisoners of different groups like Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, they are getting rehabilitated. We could do the study with Muslims and Christians, but we could not do that very well with Hindus. The reason was that after finishing the prison sentence, the Hindus changed the residence. They did not stay at the same place anymore. Muslims, Christians, they stayed at the same place. They did not change residence. And that's what we found, that almost 80% of Hindus, they change residence, right? Because the guilt is something which is so high, and the Muslims and the Christians are able to deal with guilt perhaps much better, so they don't change residence. So if now we, I mean, Hindus have been steeped in guilt for centuries, and now, when I was they are being aware of the fact, the guilt they carry, the trauma they carry, the legacy of it. And I can only say that we don't know where it will take us, but greater awareness only creates more insight and more responsibility. And that is the way I see the Hindu population going towards. That is my brief prognosis.
Thank you, Rajat ji.
Thank you, Rajat.
Thank you. Jeffrey ji, do you want to weigh in quickly on that question?
Well, the first thing that I thought was we mustn't confuse humility with inferiority. And this is something that is very important to understand. The second is that behind all of this analysis of the departments of recognizable characteristics in every person. So all of these categories that we are talking about, Varnas and Gunas and things like that, all come together in two sciences, one called Ayurvedic medicine, and the other one most famously in this sense known as Jyotish, because the only civilization in the world that has astronomy dating back thousands and tens of thousands of years ago in both the Ramayana and Mahabharata is Bharat. And that astronomy is the indication, along with the Sanskrit language, that this was a scientific culture for 20,000 years when the Ramayana was enacted and given. And this is very important. It's very important because this wider context, and the next thing is, all of us are on a long journey. We're Atmas. And as such, we're going through all the different species, 8,400,000 species, according to the Veda, 400,000 of which are of human disposition. This is our journey. This is the definition of someone who's an adherent to the Vedic culture. They see that journey. Now, Jyotish is simply looking at all of your departments. All the grahas have a department in you, and each of those give you an endowment. Now, am I putting you in a caste? No, a category. Are we all in categories? Yes, we are. Are we in caste? No, that's an absurd oversimplification of a scientific understanding that we're composed of departments. And our behavior can be predicted by an understanding of the nature of those departments. Call it medicine, call it Ayurveda, and call it Jyotish. So it means that our karma is being delivered on a regular basis. And that's what, when the planets move and move into a certain position, I call it UPS, Universal Parcel System. A parcel of karma is about to be delivered to you. To some of us, a very big one, because that's aligned in our chart. And we did something 6 lifetimes ago that's just coming due. And now we get to have it. And they drop, someone wins the lottery, something else happens. All of that is where we should take the conversation. When someone says casteism, you say, no, you just know one tiny category and you're confused by it. You don't know Vedic science, Jyotish, Ayurveda. So if you start to learn how to talk about this, you reframe, this is called reframing. You take a tiny-minded conversation and you reframe it until it's a Mahatma conversation. And with that, I've spoken enough, I think.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Satish.
No, wonderful.
Thank
Neat.
you.
Unless somebody has a very particular
Rajat
question.
Mitra Ji
for
just sent
Rajat.
a message that
Hanji.
he has to leave the meeting.
Yes.
Thank you, Rajat ji.
Thank you, Rajat ji. We really appreciate your participation and support. Much obliged.
Thank you. Dhanyavad.
I have a 3-part question. What is jati? Number 1. Number 2, what is my jati? How will I know my jati? Because I don't do the same profession that my ancestors used to do. And then, is there a lower or higher jati or caste? If there is not, then why are we using the words lower and higher in context of caste and jati conversations?
Wonderful questions.
Well, let me begin by quoting chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, Dehinosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara, tata dehantaras praptir dhiras tatra namuyate. C-spot run. Spot runs fast. This is the C-spot run of yoga. Yoga means to have this higher understanding of connection, and mantra, which is the most beautiful aspect of Sanskrit, of Sanskritam. The perfection leads to vibratory relationship between reality beyond our visual field, but capable of being contacted. We are the extraterrestrial society, the Vedic culture, because we constantly talk to beings that are by ordinary methodologies light years away, not even accessible, and yet they're accessible to us. So this is either one very neurotic culture, or this is one brilliant culture that's in touch with our origins, back to Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatmana Sochati Nakakshati. Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhata Param. So everything beautiful here we've been in love with, you can connect with it and go to it. And this is the final stage of human development.
So
So thank you so
if
much.
can I just
Yes.
speak to that, because this is at the heart of this for many people. And I'm going to give a shout out. You must read my book because it'll give you much more clarity on this. But having put that to one side, humanity accumulates wisdom and knowledge. And anything that's useful, it's instinctive to pass it on to the next generation. Jatis are the means whereby we worked out how to pass from one generation to the next generation the essence and the learnings of material existence. Each and every one of those activities, those bodies of knowledge, is vital and critical for a society to function. The 4 Varnas are actually a darshan of the 4 powers that any society needs to survive. You need you need the 4 Ps, the 4 Ps,
The
professors.
yes.
The protector.
Professor, protector, producer, provider.
Provider.
Okay, so they're the 4 Varnas.
Yeah.
They're the 4 Varnas. And if you have people who gravitate towards them, you want to match them with those so they feel fulfilled and society benefits the most. So the jatis are the actual stores of knowledge capital, of intellectual property of a civilization. The other aspect is that we are a darshan-based society. We are not a cogitating society. We look to see. And people in the past saw that there are people who match these various four powers. How can we align them to them? So nobody sat down and created Varna Vivastha. It's a darshan of the way in which human beings are being prepared. And that's what Krishnaji says. I have created humanity in four aptitudes. The last thing that's worth recognizing is that if, as Jeffery has said, we're a civilization which says Aham Brahmasmi, and yoga says yoga chitta vritta nirodha, and that the yoga occurs when the seeker sits in his own essence, right? If the essence of what we are is that Atman, as I journey through my life, whether my hands are sweeping a broom, or they're typing on a keyboard, or they're writing, or they're painting, or they're sculpting, makes no difference because that's a bodily function. Who I am is something different. So we're not attached to bodily identification in that way. And if that's the case, how on earth would you create any sort of understanding which says birth dictates, inheritance dictates who you are and what you are? The two cannot coexist in the same space. And even Dr. Ambedkar wrote in his Annihilation of Caste that as he now understood it, the Varna system is nothing to do with today's caste system. He acknowledged that the Shudras of the Vedic times are nothing to do with the Shudras that now exist under this caste system. So I hope that's given you a few pointers towards moving beyond this. Jatis are nothing than society's storehouse of treasures of learned wisdom. And that's it. And whoever can contribute to them, well, they're welcome to it. Society takes from them. Well, you see, this is where it all falls apart. I asked this question with the Archbishop's team in the United Kingdom when this came. I said, you say upper and lower, what's the metric, right? If somebody is higher or taller, I can measure it. What's the metric? And I proposed, and I included this in the book, that there's only one metric which can be used and universally applies. And that is the threat level to the church's domination. The uppermost threat level was by the intellectuals, the priests, the scholars, the teachers. And the least threat is from the simple folk who are trying to get an honest day's pay out of an honest day's work. And so that's the only metric which applies consistently across every occurrence. Nothing else does. Thank you.
I think we can take one more question.
Yeah.
Would you like to add something?
Muchi hoy, suchi hoy, Judy Krishna Baji. Suchi hoy, muchi hoy, Judy Krishna Tyaji. This is what our gurus have given us. No matter what our task is, at any given time during the day, we're one of the Varnas doing some task, protecting the property, cleaning the house, whatever you're doing, do it like this. This is what my guru said. Hari Haraya Namaha. Turn it into an opera of joyful, loving music. Krishna Yadavaya. This is where we're supposed to live. Namaha. I don't need that from television or from my computer. I've got it from my gurus. It lives in me. It's alive in me. It sings to me and wakes me up in the morning and holds me lovingly at night. This is where samadhi takes us. We've got to go there in order to yad yad acharati shreshtas. Tat tad evetaro janaha. We've got to embody that. That is showing the world what a Hindu is.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.